Welcome to Origination Overload. You might find that if you compare your tracks to tracks made by your favorite artist, that your tracks just seem to be weak, soft, and have no punch to them. So there are a few concepts that you need to understand to make your track sound balanced and powerful. I'll share with you the shoebox analogy to help you understand the concept of sound in space. Also, I'm going to help you better understand 0 decibels, as well as the importance of gain staging. I'll also explain what stereo image is and how mixing can make or break your song, followed by what mastering can and can't do for you. So imagine that 0 decibels is when your speakers blow up into a ball of flames. So you want to avoid hitting 0 decibels as much as possible. You'll notice that when you turn the volume up on certain sound systems, that it starts from, let's say, -60, and as you turn the knob up, it goes -50, -40, so on until you reach 0 decibels. So 0 decibel is your ceiling, and you don't want to go over this, as sounds will start to distort. So imagine you want to gift a friend with a present, and you hand them a shoebox. Now your song and all of its frequencies are contained within the shoebox. You can consider the lid of the shoebox as 0 decibels, that is the ceiling. So if a sound is too loud in your shoebox, what's going to happen is that when a sound hits 0 decibels, or starts to go over 0 decibels, for example to +3 decibels, is that the lid of your shoebox is going to raise off of the box. And now there is a huge difference between the loudest and softest parts of your song, i.e. the difference in the dynamics is increasing. Therefore, the loud parts sound even louder and the soft parts sound even softer. This is not a good thing, as you want your song to sound balanced and to be able to replicate itself on different sound systems. Actually, if you play your song really softly, you still want to be able to hear all of the sounds in your song, or at very least the main parts coming through, like the kick, bass line, and vocals. This is where gain staging comes into play. Gain staging is basically your plan as to how loud your sounds should be. I would recommend getting your kick to sit at about -10 dB and your bass line about 2 decibels less than that. The rest of your track is mixed depending on what your main elements are. Maybe it's a synth hook or vocals, but they shouldn't be going louder than your kick. If a specific sound in your song is still sounding weak and not punchy, then either it has too much dynamics, i.e. really loud and really soft parts, so you could try compress the sound to get rid of the loud peaks, so that you will be able to increase the sound's volume without raising the lid of your shoebox, i.e. hitting the ceiling. Or perhaps the sound just has the wrong frequencies and tones in it, and it's clashing with another sound which is already occupying that space. You can always try add some distortion or saturation to a sound to see if that helps that sound cut through the mix more and balance out its dynamics. So let's say your kick is sitting at 60 Hz at -10 decibels. And then you add your bass line, which also has a peak at 60 Hz at -8 decibels. Let's say those two sounds are playing at once. Now they are both competing to occupy the same space. So therefore your 60 Hz range is now peaking at +2 decibels, and it is blowing the lid off your shoebox. So you have to decide which sound you want to occupy the lowest frequency range of your song. Is it your kick or your bass line? Let's say you choose your kick to be the lowest frequency. So you should remove 60 Hz from your bass line. Now take a look at your bass line's peaks. What is the second biggest peak? Maybe it was 150 Hz. So now you will do the opposite and remove 150 Hz from your kick. I recommend deciding what frequency range you will use for your bass. Let's say 40 Hz to 300 Hz, or 40 Hz to 150 Hz. I recommend you EQ all of your sounds, except for your kick and bass, with a high-pass filter, i.e. a low-cut EQ. I recommend EQing all of your sounds between 150 Hz to 300 Hz with a high-pass filter, i.e. a low-cut equalizer, to give your bass frequencies more space. This will help your bass frequencies sound balanced and less muddy. Also, sidechaining the kick with the bass line can help greatly. So now that you have all of these sounds within a shoebox, you can control how loud they are. You can also pan them from left to right, but stereo images more than that. We can also perceive sounds to be either in front or behind each other, or sound like they are further back in a space. This is where effects like reverb and delay come into play. These effects take the end of a sound and duplicate it almost like a shadow, which makes the sound interact with the inner walls of your shoebox. They color your sound by diffracting them off the walls. So reverb can actually make your shoebox sound bigger than it is and give the perception of a larger space. But if you use effects too much, it can make your song sound muddy or lack clarity. So you want to try create an interesting audio landscape where sounds are interacting within a space. And mixing and equalization is how you find a balance between all of these sounds. You never want to see a sound going into the red on your mixer, nor do you want to see your master fader going into the red. Your master fader shouldn't be going louder than -6 decibels. Lots of mastering engineers will ask that when you send your song for mastering, that your track is peaking between -10 and 6 decibels. So mastering cannot polish a turd, as they say. Mastering cannot make a badly mixed song sound good. Ideally, you don't want to master songs yourself, because firstly, you're biased towards your own music, and you probably listened to your tracks too many times, and you have an audio blind spot which you're not aware of. I highly recommend that you listen to your songs on as many different sound devices as possible. For example, on a cell phone, on a laptop, a TV, and headphones. Maybe you start to notice that your snare drum is too loud when played on different devices. This is probably because your room or your speakers are colored, i.e. they are not giving you a true and flat frequency response. So you're not getting a true representation of what the frequencies are doing, because either your room, speakers, or headphones are coloring the sound, or overcompensating in certain frequencies. For example, by bouncing off the walls in your room or by the speakers themselves. So a mastering engineer can do various things such as EQ out or boost certain frequencies in your track. They might add reverb, saturation, or compression to certain frequencies. Basically all the things you can do and fix already in your mix. A lot of people perceive louder sounds as better, but it's not true. Your tracks should sound balanced and clear when played softly. If you can get that right, your songs will sound better when played loud. I highly recommend that you mix your song at the lowest possible volume. This way your sounds are not interacting with the room, or this will give you a more accurate representation of what the sound is doing. A mastering engineer will add a -0.3 decibel limiter to your song to stop sounds from distorting on devices like cell phones, which usually distort just before 0 decibel. The engineers will then push the volume of your track, which will start to cut off the peaks of your sound and make your song be perceived as louder, but it's still contained within the shoebox of 0 decibels. It is possible to overdo this and make your song sound too harsh or piercing to the ear. I would recommend that you have about 2 to 3 decibels of peak reduction for your mastering and no more than an occasional 5 decibel reduction. Otherwise, go back and fix that sound in your mixing. Perhaps it's too loud or needs compression. I hope you enjoyed that and learned something. If you need help getting your tracks mixed or mastered, please get in touch with me via Facebook, Patreon, or drop me an email. Or you can join me on Patreon, where I'll help you with writing, mixing, and mastering your songs. Thanks, and keep the fire alive. Thanks for watching. If you found that helpful or interesting, please like and subscribe to this channel. Cheers.
Origination overload.